Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for Mikey's vlog. And yes, we are back. It's his second vlog coming back. It's been well over a year since we did vlogs with him. You guys can see Mikey is strong, jacked, still running conjugate. And he just hit 325 off of a dead pin bench, which not bad, not bad at all. And people need to remember we're weaker at those. Of course, he follows it up with some floor pressing. And, to put in perspective that Mike is a pretty strong bencher overall, this is sets of 10 with 245 on the floor press. Right? And this has always been a staple. Like, we take it out sometimes, but for Mike, the floor press really did a lot for his bench early on. Because when Mike first hired me, I think he was benching like 295. He was struggling to crack 300. And you guys can watch him rep out 315 now. But the floor press is one of those lifts that we used early on, identified his weak links in his bench, and we did a lot of floor pressing and actually a lot of dips. Really seemed to do the trick for him early. And we faded some of that out. We rotate through different movements as needed. For example, we just took his cambered bar benching back out because it does tend to beat shoulders up a little bit. Eventually it can cause a lot of inflammation in the shoulders, so it's not a lift that we do always for long periods of time unless a lifter just has really robust shoulders and they can handle it. But we're doing a lot of floor pressing, a lot of tricep work for him in this phase in his benching, whereas for lower body we're really hammering his low back. His lower back, his glutes. That's the stuff that's limiting his deadlifts. Because as you guys know, Mike's a great bencher, great at upper body stuff. He's a pretty good squatter too. He's no slouch on the squat. But his low back limits his squat. It limits his deadlifts. And now that we've got access to reverse hyper again, we're using the heck out of it. But that's always been a weak link for him. Because he started as an upper body bro, many years ago when he first got under a barbell. Max effort lower though, we did a deadlift with chains, and we're always conservative on deadlifts because again they tend to be a weak link for him, so we keep practicing, and then we'll eventually, once I shore up his weak links, we'll go ahead and test where his actual real deadlift is, coming up. I also have him do seal rows, right? So you guys will notice he does pull-ups on the upper body day. But a lot of times on his lower body days, we do extra back work. We're doing some seal rows right now. We really want to thicken his lats up right now, his lats and traps and things. We could really use it for his deadlifting because his back in general is the weak link on the deadlift. And we might say, well, his low back and glutes need work, but we do need help with some of those stabilizers too, which would be the traps and the lats. They don't move the weight, but they are very critical stabilizers. Also, got him doing a lot of good mornings right now. Do a lot of good mornings because, again, lower back tends to limit his deadlifts. So, we do a lot of middle and upper back work, but we hammer the safety bar good mornings right now and the reverse hypers because this is what we have to get him where we need him, right? It's what we need. What we need is what we have to have. So, good mornings. We do glute ham raises, which you guys will see up next. And we've gotten pretty proficient at those. In all honesty, most of his lower body itself, quads, adductors, hamstrings, these things are in a good place, but we have access to it. We have the recovery, so we use this tool. All right, we use this tool. And you guys know I'm a big fan of this movement. I have a love-hate relationship with it. Like, everyone knows how much I love the reverse hyper. Glute ham raise, I have a love-hate relationship with it, kind of like pull-ups. But mainly because it makes you cramp up, and there are times when I do question for myself if the cramping potential is worth the hamstring development. But, point of debate. And even though the hamstrings are not necessarily a weak link for him, they do matter. They do matter. And it does give us some extra back work because we do a hyperextension in there with that. We're doing, the full range of motion on this movement. And of course, we finish up usually with reverse hypers, which is pretty standard Pretty standard for most of my lifters. Lifters who the low back is not necessarily a weak link, we tend to do a lot more reps, right? Guys like Mike, who really need the hypertrophy in the low back, we tend to finish up with heavier work, sets of 10 on these. And in this case, we're bringing that weight up, 60% of his squat max, and we're just increasing it over time. Right, we're increasing it over time. Then after that, we obviously have dynamic effort bench day, and Mike does the most standard protocol, which is third of the sets wide, third of the sets medium, third of the sets close, using touch and go, stretch reflex, and bands, heavy band tension. Right, this is actually the most common protocol. It works for him. I don't do anything special for Mike's speed bench because the most standard protocol works, and he gets stronger and stronger at his benching. He's still got a good bench, and we're cutting, right? We are cutting. He's over halfway through his cut, and we've managed to keep great bench strength. Once we got through that point of got him past that, 315 plus, his bench has always been good after that. Right? He's built the bench. He just didn't have the right musculature to do it in the right places. And Mike's probably going to bench 405 one day, right? Raw. He's probably going to do it at 200 pounds. All right. Follow that up with some dumbbell presses. This is what we're doing at the moment. Doesn't mean it's what we do year round. It's what we're doing in this phase. And so people will see this and be like, oh, so this is how he built his bench. No, we didn't have dumbbells actually when we first got his bench up past the 315 mark. He didn't have dumbbells. It was all home gym, if you guys remember. But we've got them, so we use them now in phases. Right? We use them in phases. And I like dumbbell work for my wider grip benchers. Closed grip benchers, I could take it or leave it. Sometimes it can work for hypertrophy when we need hypertrophy in certain places. And I think dumbbells are a good all-around chest builder. All right, so we follow that up, of course, with seated dumbbell presses to build his shoulder up. And, it's almost at a little bit of an incline, and some people can argue about that, but I don't care. I don't care. It's building his delts. All right, it's building his delts with easy to recover from exercise. I'm not going to nitpick over that sort of nonsense. That's the sort of nonsense bodybuilders nitpick over. It's the sort of nonsense weak-ass mofos discuss. I'll nitpick over programming, stress recovery adaptation cycle. I'll discuss, the merits of concurrent training and energy systems, how entropy affects all of that. I'll nitpick that stuff. I don't nitpick form like a seated dumbbell press. Like, people will come in and do that, and it's like, who cares? This is probably why you guys are weak, because you're not debating points of recovery and periodization. All right, we're not discussing the stress recovery adaptation cycle. You're nitpicking an angle, literally an angle on a dumbbell movement. People do that and then wonder why they're weak. The same people are like, oh, 500-pound squats, unobtainable for a person who's not fat, right? That's the same people. And that's no coincidence. There's no coincidence. All right, speed squats, safety bar against bands. All right, that's what we do for his speed boxes right now. I'll rotate bars again soon on him. And then, of course, we rotate conventional versus sumo. Of course, I put a clip up of him doing this, and I had so much time in, oh, why is he doing sumo? It's like, he does conventional and sumo. What's the problem? Anyone who's going to tell you, oh, they're going to make fun of someone who rotates sumo and conventional in good programming, you can ignore that person. All right, you can ignore that person. Because they literally have no idea what they're doing. All right? If that's something someone's going to make fun of and make a joke out of, it's a reason they're weak. There is a reason they are weak. All right. Setup here is pretty much the same as max effort day on some of this stuff. We do seal rows, and the fact that he's got a seal row bench makes life easier. I'm going to get one eventually. I need to get one. It's on my to-do list. Eventually, we'll get it done. All right. So, seal rows. And then we do belt squats. It's our primary quad builder. People ask that, what does he do? That's all he does. We do speed boxes. We've done belt squats, actually a lot in the past. We do machines. That's how we build his legs. You know what? Gives him a big squat. And it works. It works, so we do it. We run with it. Again, we're going to deny the results here. I love the belt squat, and I like that wide stance, toes out. We get all the musculature of the lower body involved, except arguably maybe not as much hamstring as we would like. But you know what? We do all this other hamstring work for him. So that doesn't matter, does it? So that's what his lower day looks like. We do belt squats. We do more good mornings. We do more good mornings. And then he does glute ham raises, reverse hypers. And looking real familiar with what a lot of my training looks like here, doesn't it? Right? It's very familiar. And I think it's hard to go wrong with a setup like this. You know, again, particularly given his weak links. All right? Good mornings, belt squats, glute ham raises, reverse hypers as our staple lower body movements, along with speed boxes and things. Yeah. Gets the job done. It works. It works. So we will continue to do that. But we push those reverse hypers real hard. We're pushing the good mornings super hard right now. We're putting our efforts into those because we need to get that conventional deadlift up. It is what is holding him back. So, sorry about the interruptions. It's a kind of important text. I need to finish this up and I need to get to that. But I need to get this rendering, so let's wind it down. All right. Then he does his glute ham raises, does his reverse hypers, and we called it a day. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.